today we're gonna talk about the torso. Someone asked me to do a video about doing the upper body slash the torso in different angles. So I'm gonna try and do that. What I am gonna do is try to explain how I see it, and I'm gonna draw a torso in profile in 3/4. I can't speak the word. Well, you will see. Slightly on the side and front, and how you can easily do it with simple shapes, and also what the difference is between male and female torso or upper body, because I am gonna do kind of like from the belly button and up to the shoulders. So there will be a little bit a part of the arms just to show you where you put them, and just to show you how the kind of upper body works together. Just not the torso only, because it is very connected to the stomach and how it goes down to the hips. So we're gonna start with the male torso. And what I usually think about when I do the torso is, if we're gonna do the torso, it's pretty much in simple shapes, kind of like this. A square and a rectangle put together like this. And of course, this is from the front. So here you have the joint to the arms that comes out like this and then goes down like this. And the elbow should be somewhere around here where the belly button is gonna start, and then it's gonna go down like so. And same thing goes here. Now for this, for the male body, it is a very square, very box shaped, and it's gonna be the same with the female. But there are gonna be some changes to this part, the lower part, the tummy part, we can call it. And for instance, here's the neck coming in and all that. So this is the construction that we have for the male torso. Okay, so how do we do it? Simple enough so we can do it very fast. Well, like I said, just imagine the torso pretty much like this. Imagine it's a square, it's a box. Okay, so it has a three-dimensional shape like this. Now I'm doing the whole thing, so here's the upper torso bit, and then you can maybe we should extend it like this, so we have the most important parts configured right. So something like this. Okay, so here we have the torso in a shape box, and here is where the socket for the arm is gonna go, and on the other side. So you have to imagine a three-dimensional box like this. Okay, and yes, I know that the male body is not shaped like a box, okay, but it's just the way how you think about it. And for this is the 3/4 that I'm trying to say, but my English sometimes isn't working with my tongue, so I apologize. But 3/4 or a slight profile, you could say, to the side. I usually call this the webcomic stance, because all webcomic characters usually have a 3/4 kind of stance, so I just call it the webcomic stance. But that's me. So imagine it to be like a box, like this, where you have the parts of everything going from this to the arm, which is like a big ball like this, and then you have the arm like a cylinder going like this. Now this is how I usually draw everything. I see everything as cylinders, boxes, and everything like that. And of course I know that the shapes are not like this. This is just to get the the mind thinking, because then you can start erasing and starting to shape it. Like, okay, so I know the box is here, I know the space is gonna take up, and then I can go and change and, you know, mold it a little bit, because the body isn't shaped like a box. But you see where you can get the idea from, and then you can change and apply, so we don't get the very boxy shape that we don't want, but we want the body like such. And then we have probably somewhere here the neck coming down like this, like such. And just gonna fix the shoulder here. So you can see here already we got the body like this, okay? And then we have a body. So it's not, you know, trying to get it to be shaped like a box. It's just trying to understand the thinking of it, just trying to simplify it instead of just doing it straight away. So for me, when I do, for instance, bodies in a more kind of profile way, is I think about the body in simple terms and in simple shapes. Just trying to make it simple. So for instance, doing it in a profile means that I usually start with the head, so I know where the body is gonna go and where the neck is gonna go if the character is leaning down and everything. But then I just do like this, and the shape is pretty much just like this. This is the shape I use for the upper body. And then for the lower body, I usually try to make a little bit more arcing, so we can feel that the back is kind of flowing more down, and then go like this. So I put, attaching to this part, a shape similar to this, with perhaps, depending on how much he's, you know, pushing his stomach out. Because here we get the butt, and here you're gonna have the legs connect. Same thing here with the arms, which is gonna come here, and perhaps he has his hands in his pockets or something like that. So you can see how two shapes can just easily, you know, do that. And that's because I have already done the box shapes. I know kind of how the body flows into everything. So for instance, if we take a more blue pen here, you can see that the shape that's going like this. So you see that from the neck to the chest, you can, you know, make a little bit more if you want to make the muscles more permanent. And then going down to the scrotum or the crotch area. So this is the lines on the front. On the back, you can see it like this. It's kind of like a wave almost. And that's the back area, and here's the butt area and the swank, the arched back, so to speak. So that's in profile. I'm gonna just type it out here, profile. I'm gonna go up. No, we're gonna go down. So for, you know, the question was more directed to the 3/4 or the webcomic stance, and what I usually try to do when I do that is pretty much the same thing. I start with the head. Doesn't have to be a perfect head, just a circle, so I know kind of the size of the head, because then I can do the neck, and I always, you know, mix things up sometimes. So sometimes I do different things first and everything like that, but I try to do like, okay, this is the size of the head, this is the size of the neck, this is the kind of muscles and character it's gonna be. And what I do is, from that, I just do pretty much like this. I put the character, because I know kind of the way I do my muscles and my body shapes. So I'm doing the upper body. Here's the where the neck connects. So I know this is the upper body. You can still see the shape that I'm working with, and at the same time I'm just going down like this, trying to get this flow, so it flows down and then out again to the hips. Because even if guys maybe don't have as wide a hips as women, they still have hips, and we have to get that flow, or otherwise it's gonna look like steel pants in a box. It doesn't look good. So it goes down like this, and then you have a bigger arm here. You get more shown here. You can almost see the whole bowl here, but here I used to do like this side is covering the shoulder a little bit. You can still see a big part of the arm, but you can see how I'm hiding it behind the chest muscles here. Whereas here, I just push it out further. I show it more. And as you can see, then we get that the character is kind of turned from us, because this is facing from us and this is facing towards us. So you get that, and you can also just try to get the lines. You can see it's more space here between here and here than it is between there and there. So just try to do that, and you will have a 3/4, or the webcomic stance, as I call it. Because then you have so that the character, if I draw a line on the face, you can see where his face is pointed at, and you can see it once again much further apart here than here. And you can always, change it more, so you can get the character just standing even more. And then I will even recommend to do just a small shoulder here, but a very much bigger shoulder on this side, depending on which way it's gonna face. And then you have the arm, kind of like this. And then you can have, maybe this character is leaning a little bit more. But you can see already here, I am trying to even more, this leaned a little bit too much perhaps, but you can see where I'm going with it, because the character is even more facing from us, not towards us. It's facing this side and not this side, so it's going even more. You can see the face line here. You can see how the character is turning even more from us than towards us. And you can see it even if I do the muscles and everything like that. You can see that the character is not facing towards us. He's pretty much going almost into a profile. So you can turn it even more, but this is pretty much what I use when I do the 3/4. But once again, it's about that, using the box to understand that even if you're not supposed to, say that you're objectifying stuff, but you are, but not in the way that people, saying, oh, you're objectifying me. I am talking about translating it into objects, to shapes, to objectify it so you can see how the body parts are working together and how they are supposed to be posed, so you can understand how to draw it and how to make it correct. That's what I mean when I say objectifying. You have to take everything into shapes, like elbows, parts of the arm, the hand, the neck, the muscles. Everything has to be shapes. Don't think about it as, oh, there's sexy muscles, or there's, this flesh tones and everything like that. No. Start with simple basic shapes. Think very simple. Make it into boxes, make it into, cylinders, or whatever you have to do to get that feeling. And for the front, well, we already have the box version here. So pretty much the same thing here is, trying to get the box like this, and then the tummy part And for the shoulders, you can do different things. I usually do different things depending on what kind of character I'm doing. Sometimes I do stylized, shoulders. A lot of people do, stylized muscles. Western comic books usually do the, very muscular, very toned, like bodybuilding kind of muscles, which makes clothes and stuff like that kind of hard to do sometimes. But muscles is, everyone can do their own kind of thing, I think. As long as you feel happy with it, that's what you want to go for, man. So as you can see, I'm just doing a simple version here, just trying to get something that works. And if it doesn't work, I try again. But as you can see, the front part of my body, and this is a very broad-shouldered person, as you can see, but it doesn't matter, because the same thing is that it comes from these simple shapes. That is one box for the breast or the torso. And the torso, if anyone is wondering what the hell is the torso, well, the torso is pretty much where the rib cage is facing. If we want to go X-ray, it's gonna be the part where the the muscles and the bone on where the blue is right now. This part, not the connecting to the arms and not the tummy part, that's called the torso. Or so I'm told, but then again, there's when we say torso, we mean a different thing perhaps in when we're drawing, and when it comes to the medical terms, yes, there perhaps is a more detailed what it is, but that's for them. When we say torso, we mean pretty much the upper part of the body. But I feel that the torso is not the only part. You have to connect it to the tummy, because if you don't get that right, the body's not gonna look right. And that's why I wanted to show you this part, where you have the flow and the arch and everything like that. It's all connected. So this is for the male body. What is the difference then when it comes to females? Well, there's pretty much one or two things, I would say. Well, three if you count the breast, but that's kind of an obvious answer. The first part is, when I draw ladies' torso and upper bodies, I try to think about more round shapes, make it a little bit softer. And the tummy part is gonna go out, a lot more out, because of the hips. So for instance, here is pretty much the female body, and this is kind of like a mid-between. It's not a skinny girl, it's not a chubby girl, it's not a, I wouldn't say an athletic girl either. It's just a kind of middle ground, neutral thing. But once again, you're gonna have the shape here, and I probably have said this before, but I try to do kind of this shape. Not an hourglass, like, trying to objectify that you have to have a small waist or anything like that, but just the idea of an hourglass. But you don't have to do it, extremely small in the middle. You can't have it, wider and, more muscle and everything like that. But just the general idea, the general shape of the hourglass. You could almost say it's more like when I look at it, it's more like an arrow pointing down, except you don't have the sharp edges like this. You have it like on this kind of thing. So that's how I usually do it. And if I want a skinny girl, or maybe perhaps a younger girl, I try to do the upper part more thin, more kind of pressed together. Or if I want a big booty girl, then I'm gonna do the hips wider. If I want perhaps a more, bimbo girl or something like that, then yes, then I probably would go with the stereotypical small waist, big hips, and all that. But that's one of the changes, is that when I do girls, I usually try to make it not wider, less wider. And of course the hips, that the hips are going out a lot more than it does with guys. And that's because the legs are gonna be connected. You can see it goes like a flow here. It goes from like this. Okay, so you can see the shape going like almost an S. And then you can do either if there's like this, or then you can do it if you're gonna cross the legs and stuff like that. So how does that reflect then in the 3/4 or the Webcomic Stance, like I call it? Well, it's pretty much the same thing. Like I said, I try to imagine, instead of doing a square, I try to make it like a round, much more rounded square, and then have it. And once again, why I'm doing it rounded is because if I have these lines, I can just go flowing from those and go the shape, the hourglass shape, like I spoke of before. So if we go like this, you can already see the shape. And then of course I'm gonna go and do kind of like a big vase almost. You can see here I'm going like this, and this is not supposed to be. And once again, we try to erase just so we don't get too much of a boxy shape. And then you have the shoulder gonna come up here like this. And I try not to do very big shoulders when it comes to females, because even if females usually pack on muscles, they are much tighter together. At least when I draw, I try to make the girl's shoulders not too wide. If it's not supposed to be a very big kind of hulky girl, then of course then I can change the shoulders. But usually I try to make the shoulders a little bit more tighter when it comes to female characters. And once again, we're gonna do the arms a little bit here, and we're gonna go out like this. So that's pretty much the torso in 3/4. As you can see, we get if we're gonna do muscles like a guy, you're gonna see like this. We're gonna get a little bit more flow when it comes to females, because they have the shapes and the forms a little bit more flowing than the guys do. Guys usually do tend to get a more boxy kind of edged feel to them. But there is one thing we haven't done here, and that is of course the third part, that is the chest, the breasts. And usually when it comes to this, which is for some a very touchy subject, I feel that there are no perfect kinds of breasts. There are different types of breasts. I have no standards when it comes to it. It depends on the character. Is it perhaps a chubby girl, a kind of big booty girl with hips and curves? Well, then the breast is gonna become a little bit larger. Is it a skinny kind of frail girl? Maybe the chest is gonna be a bit smaller and a bit tighter. However, what you have to realize is how the breasts come from on the body. What I usually try to do is try to remember where your shoulders and armpits are, because from the armpits it's usually kind of like, if you put the area where the chest is gonna be, even if they're not gonna be big, you have to kind of realize where they're gonna be positioned. And from the armpit it's gonna go like a teardrop, depending on size of course, but from there you're gonna get like this. And try to then remember that if you have the body in the profile, it's gonna become kind of like this if they're smaller, but they're gonna become like a teardrop. So if we have the shoulder here with the arm, and the shoulder here, and then you're gonna have the neck and head and all that. You're gonna see here, depending on size, and you can do it smaller if you want the smaller chest, absolutely. But you're gonna see it's gonna be hanging. You have to remember there's gravity, so it's gonna become kind of like this. And I try to imagine these 2 points as if you're gonna hang as if there were bags, kind of like this, like a teardrop. So this is gonna go up and hang somewhere, and these are the points I usually think about trying that. And once again, it's all about, you know, trying to make the shapes believable so we can get the right style for the right purpose. Okay, and as you can see, we get some chest here. Maybe we have to smaller the hip a little bit because the hip size and the chest size are a little bit indifferent. But hey, once again, I'm not gonna say that you can't do it if that's the way it looks. I'm just saying for sometimes it has to function together. But once again, maybe that's the character. Maybe that's the character that they are not. Maybe it's a girl who is perhaps a little bit misshapen, or maybe she feels bad about it and stuff like that. For all means, you know, go ahead and do that. I'm not gonna say anything about that. But that's the way I think about it when I try to draw the female body, especially in the 3/4 or the webcomic stance. But then again, I have shown you how to do it. Like I said, there are 3 parts. Tighter upper body, more hip, and then of course the chest, which you have to remember how to do as well. Only left now is the female from the profile view, and that's pretty much the same as the guy. You have the head and going down to the neck, like this. The difference here now is you're gonna see a lot more swaying around here. So I'm gonna show you. So for instance, here I don't do as I did with the guys, like this kind of shape. I'm instead going around. I'm going to do pretty much a circle, and I can almost do a circle bigger than the upper body, pretty much underneath it, because here you can just connect like this, so it becomes very the same as the guys, perhaps even more depending on how much booty you want to put on it. And then you're gonna have a smaller line here, which is gonna make it a little bit like this. Okay, so you can see if I erase lines in between here, but you saw it was pretty much 2 circles and then connecting those 2 circles, and you get this shape. Now here, of course, we're gonna have the shoulder for the arm, perhaps the same as the other character. She has her hands in her pocket or something. But you can see here's the where the butt ends, and here is where pretty much where the leg is gonna start shaping up. And you can see we get like this. And of course here we can do some altercations if we feel like it's pushing up a little bit more. Okay, maybe she has, in this instance, perhaps a little bit smaller chest, not hanging. Perhaps she's a young girl, and then you're gonna go like that. And you can see we're starting already to get a shape of a female. So for this, it's pretty much 2 circles in the back, do the very arched, and here you can also, if you don't like the roundness, you can go a little bit more like this if you want to. But then again, in the front you usually don't go too much. So it's kind of like one of those Disney kind of style peanuts or nuts, you know, these nuts that they usually do have in Disney movies and stuff like that, or in cartoons. So it's kind of like that. This is the shape, and then you have the head on top, appropriately, you know, proportions and stuff like that. And then this and goes down to the crotch area, and then this goes to the leg part and stuff like that. And this is, once again, just to get the shapes correctly. You also have to, you know, fix it and, you know, smooth it out and, you know, all that. And don't try to be, you know, too stiff as well. Always remember that these are just the shapes to help you get started. These are just the shapes to help you get started. They are not the final thing. They are things to help you to understand how the body works in simple shapes and forms. Okay? So don't be too stiff about it. These are just shapes and methods to help you figure it out. Because then you're gonna be able, for instance, like why I call it the webcomic stance is pretty much because of this. I'm gonna do a very simple character here, which I used to do in a very specific webcomic style. And you can see I'm already skipping everything about human anatomy because this is a webcomic style. But you can see here that I'm putting one arm directly in front of the other. And here we go with the pocket, because that's what I used to do when I did webcomics, is that I always put my characters in hands in the pockets, always. But you can see here already, boom, I have my character pretty much, and you can see I also put the ear on one side. And then you have a character standing with his hands in the pockets. And you can see here I'm showing you a lot of the arm here, but almost nothing on this side. Same thing here, you can see where the face is split. And also you get to see the ear on this side. Whoops. Yeah. But not on this side. No ear here. But you can see it there. And you can see how the body is pretty much twisted around to a certain degree, which is the 3/4 or the webcomic stance. So it's all depending, and I'm trying to actually move away because it's very easy to you know, get stuck in this format. What I'm trying to do now myself is try to find different angles that isn't, you know, just in front of or like that. I'm trying to, you know, have angles from below, from above, and, you know, trying to move the body and everything like that. But these are the 3 angles that are usually the most used, which is, you know, the front, the profile, and the 3/4, which is what I call the webcomic stance. So I hope you have learned something today, and if you have anything you want me to teach you, please let me know in the comments, because I'm doing the videos of tutorials for you guys and girls. And as always, you can always wish, and, you know, how do I do this? Is there something I can do when I do this, or how do you do this, and everything like that. So just ask. There are no stupid questions. There are no things that I can't teach you or try to teach you. But I need you to, you know, be active in the comments. It's helping me out, and I want to help you out to get better at drawing. So please, just let me know in the comments what you want to see in the next tutorial video. And with that, I will see you in the next tutorial video. Bye!